I'll see what the instrument observed during the total solar eclipse. Kevin.
Ready as I'll ever be with this.
Okay, 70 is going to be Union Lincoln Victor 515.
And we're back here at the G3 up over the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Oregon. And it was amazing, wasn't it?
It was outstanding.
And so for me, like, you know, at 25 years, I did research on the corona. I saw it for the first time. It was my first eclipse. Was it your first eclipse?
My first eclipse as well.
Just absolutely amazing. And I want to talk about two things. First of all, the shape of the corona. You know, I saw the models. I showed the model, and it was remarkably similar. You know, I saw these streamers, these magnetic structures coming out like glows in specific directions, just like we expected. So I'll look for the analysis before we claim victory, of course. But the other one is that spectrograph you, Mike, you know, ran on board. And just before that the sun, you know, disappeared behind the moon, that spectrograph, of course, is spreading out the light in all its colors. Just before it disappeared, there is that one shot. And Laurie, I want to ask you whether you can turn it on. Do you see those specific kind of lines that pop up between the green and the red? It's just like we said, it's helium. Remember, that's how it was discovered, helium. We didn't know we had helium here. It was a new element. It was discovered that way. And then over there in the red, between the green and the red, is iron. Iron, a really hot iron, telling us that, hey, this atmosphere is really hot. And then a little bit over, it's another line, red. Well, what is that? Well, it's hydrogen. Well, so even though it's really hot up there and only 1 in a million or 10 of million particles are neutral, it's still visible in that one shot that you saw. So Robert, back to you here, back on Earth. What did you feel like? How did you see this occur?
Yeah, so it was fascinating to watch actually the shadow or the path of totality underneath us. We're at 35,000 feet, and you could see at totality, you could actually see the darkness down on the ground. And you could look north and south and see where it wasn't completely dark. And as we kept going, you could just watch that darkness move. It was almost like a thunderstorm moving across the plains, but it was all the darkness, and it was just stunning to me to see that. So really, really good stuff, and I wasn't expecting that. And of course, the eclipse itself was beautiful, but seeing what happened down on the ground level of Earth from 35,000 feet.
Well, you know what, I want to point out right now, though, Mark, that we are just moments away from totality here. You can see on the corona cam that the moon is almost completely eclipsing the sun. Can you describe what we're seeing here,
we've already looked at that I
well,
can't wait to share.
I think we have a little weather, so it's a little bit different than the eclipse we just saw before,
really
but hopefully we'll see some of those daily beams. That is the last light from the sun rushing through the peaks and valleys of the moon, even some of the great ones. And then it gets dark, incredible. And so you can see the
so thank you guys. Remember to put your glasses on for those you haven't seen it yet. We'll talk to you soon.
A lot of science, incredible. And so you can see the
fantastic
sun's
stuff.
corona.
Just tuned
I
in
think we're going to let everything take in this moment.
NASA television, we have the best views of the solar eclipse today and coming later in the show. You don't want to miss this, the International Space Station live. Now, next up, let's visit a working farm at Austin Peay State University in Clarksville, Tennessee. Agricultural observations and solar eclipse viewing activities are underway, including high-altitude balloon launches and painting cows.
Painting cows? What?
Okay, all right. So now, let's go to the NASA Launch and Space Flight Center. Chris Blair standing by.
Humans are naturally excited about the solar eclipse, but one thing we've learned on this working agricultural farm is that animals can as well. But more on that in a moment, as right now we're getting ready to do a live scientific balloon launch. And joining us to tell us more is Dominic Critchlow from Austin Peay State University. Thanks for joining us, we appreciate it. So tell the crowd and our audience a little bit about the scientific payload you have on board.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Today we're flying some still image equipment, and we're going to be taking images of the ground in different wavelengths. And we're also flying live streaming equipment, so we can live stream the eclipse looking downwards and looking around at 100,000 feet, which is higher than any plane has ever gone. We're also flying some biological samples with NASA Ames, and then our trackers so we can have a successful recovery.
Okay, and they just released your balloon, so let's talk about the NASA science and the biological samples. Explain more.
So NASA Ames has contacted us and all of the other teams that are going to be doing launches today across the whole path of the eclipse. And we're going to all have a little chip of biological samples on today across the whole path of the eclipse. And we're going to all have a little chip of biological samples on there, and we're going to go up in the stratosphere. doing some Martian studies, which is really interesting and cool.
We are very excited about that. And so, also, how many balloon releases are you planning on doing this today or this weekend?
And so, all across the U.S., we have about 50 teams that are launching in the path of the eclipse so that we can have a full coverage of the stream. And on the site today, we have 3 launches from 3 different universities, and we're just really excited to be here, and hopefully all successful launches.
All right, so finally, these balloons do go up and they come back down. And so what's some advice if anyone finds one of these payloads out and about across the country? What's a tip you would tell them?
If you find it, leave it there. Maybe take a picture because it's kind of cool to see something land in your backyard from research. And please don't touch it. We'll be there soon to pick it up. If you have to move it, let us know, and we'll just be there to recover it.
Awesome. Thanks. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, so yesterday we had a chance to catch up with some serious students, albeit a little younger, but serious about doing real-world science nonetheless. And here to tell us more is my good friend and colleague, Mitzi Adams from NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. Mitzi, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. So tell us about the science that these high school students are working on.
Well, the students are actually working on some atmospheric science experiments. They're doing animal study experiments, and they're helping us observe the sun and various wavelengths of light.
And these students aren't just from the Clarksville area. I understand they're all around the country, if not perhaps the globe.
The students are from the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, and yes, they are from all around the globe. And they're actually from the INSPIRE project as well. They're participating in VLF radio noise experiments, and those folks are from Washington, D.C.
All right, excellent. And so you mentioned the Space and Rocket Center, Space Camp. That's the official visitor center for NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center. Feel free, if you're in northern Alabama, to come and see us. They do a great job of representing a past, future, and present history of NASA. So any parting words?
Well, you know, in the words of Frank Reynolds, I'd like for us to remember for the next American eclipse in 2024, let the shadow of the moon fall on an earth at peace.
Very poetically done. We appreciate it. All right, so up next is, as promised, our Animal Lovers segment. And so here on the agricultural farm, students are studying a really cool STEM field. So it's conservation management, it's veterinary medicine, animal biology, and so they're interested in animal behavior. And so joining us is Dr. Donald Sudbrink, head of the Ag Department here at Austin Peay State University. And so it's not cow tipping, it's cow painting, correct?
Yes. We had to paint the cows that are in this study to see what sort of things that they would do so we could record the individual animals so we could see what behaviors that they were exhibiting.
So we saw the cows, and the students were involved with that Mitzi just spoke about. And we're also talking about cricket behavior and cricket observations.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we're also talking about crickets. I'm an entomologist by training, and crickets generally chirp at night. So we're going to get a chance to see a series of isolated males and see what they do when the sun goes out.
Okay, excellent. We're glad you all are doing this kind of observational research. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So, and speaking of time, it's almost time for us, everyone here at Austin Peay State University, to actually watch the solar eclipse. So let's go back live for continuing coverage of NASA's eclipse across America from Charleston.
Okay, so Yadi, I wonder if the milk tastes better when you paint the cows. I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
All right, let's go to social media. We've been in the show here, and I know it's a buzz. So over to John Yerbrick for social media update.
Yeah, last time I looked, Dwayne, there were 2.1 million people looking online on our website. On our 1.2 on our live stream, so it's a huge conversation. And Solar Eclipse 2017 is still trending #1 on Twitter, so it's been huge. Can we go to the first slide here that I've got up? This right here is an amazing photo. Sometimes they say you have to be at the right place at the right time. This is taken by one of our NASA photographers, Bill Ingalls, out in Washington, and he captured. It's hard to see here in this pic, but he captured the International Space Station transiting the sun during the partial eclipse there in Washington. Pretty amazing. You kind of have to look closely. We'll also be putting these images up online if you want to see them. But one of those little dots there is the International Space Station traveling at 17,500 miles per hour. Here's another one from our photographer in Wyoming. Same concept. Capture the space station. We knew exactly when the space station was going to be flying.
They're named after the astronomer Francis Bailey, who was the first person to explain this phenomenon that we see.
No one else probably has in thinking through and getting this great image. So let's take a few questions from social media. I want to remind our viewers at home that you can ask questions to us here on the set and on social media with the hashtag Eclipse 2017. So why don't we bring it back here to the stage? First question is from Twitter. What if we wear sunglasses instead of eclipse glasses? Will we actually be able to see the eclipse? Do sunglasses help? Does it give you any sort of protection?
No, that's definitely a no-no. You should not wear sunglasses, normal sunglasses. Always wear the actual sunglasses that are made for solar viewing, like the ones that I'm having here right now in my hand. And if you don't have the sunglasses, you never look directly at the sun. You look like you do an indirect projection of that eclipse. Never look at the sun without the proper safety.
So another question here comes from Deborah from Facebook. So the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and the Earth rotates in clockwise motion. Please explain how it starts in the west and ends in the east.
Well, so the Earth is rotating from west to east, but actually the moon is moving faster.
Look with the iPad or your phone to the eclipse. The only thing is, you have to be very careful not to look at it with your own eyes without the actual safety glasses. Never look at it through any lens.
This is Nikki from Facebook. Hey, NASA, can the International Space Station see the shadow of the moon crossing America from space? Do they have that view when they're looking from space?
They do, and that's what we're hoping to see from them.
Yes. You have to be very careful
John, we're going to come back to you. So I think we're going to go back to Sean, our meteorologist. Let's learn more about how NASA is studying the Earth and Sun relationship during this eclipse. Sean, can you tell us more about that?
Right, thanks, Dwayne. So during the eclipse, the moon acts like a giant cloud as it passes over areas in the path of totality, casting a large shadow on Earth's surface. Now, the footage you're seeing right now shows a solar eclipse that occurred in March of 2016 over Indonesia. That experience helped us determine how best to study today's eclipse. These images were taken by NASA's EPIC instrument aboard NOAA's Deep Space Climate Observatory, or DISCOVER. It's just one of the instruments we'll be using today to study the eclipse as we monitor changes in Earth's energy balance. Scientists have made extensive atmospheric measurements during eclipses before, but this is the first opportunity to collect coordinated data from both the ground and from a spacecraft that observes the entire sunlit Earth during an eclipse. Dwayne, back to you.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, so now we have a special guest with us today, the Associate Administrator for NASA's Office of Communication, Jinray Wong. Jinray, welcome.
Dwayne, thank you. So happy to be here.
Oh, it's an exciting day. I'm glad you could join the team here. And our next location you are pretty familiar with, I'm sure.
I'm very blessed, and I do know something about the great state of Nebraska. I've actually lived there for the last decade, and I have friends and family who are watching there from the path of totality. I have to tell you, this is by far the biggest thing that's happened in Nebraska as of recent. It's absolutely fabulous. I have had friends from high school and college calling me up, Facebook messaging me, asking where they can get their glasses, where they should be viewing from. So it's just a really exciting day for everyone who's watching along the path of totality. It's also a really exciting day for NASA. And in fact, this gives us an opportunity to look forward as well. And we have a future study that we are going to be doing for to study the sun. NASA is going to launch a new spacecraft next year, the Parker Solar Probe, and it will fly directly into the solar atmosphere. The mission will provide first of its kind data. And for more information on this future mission, let's go to Beatrice, Nebraska, where Vince Whitfield from NASA's Langley Research Center is standing by. He's at Homestead National Monument, where the National Park Service has coordinated an eclipse viewing. Vince?
Oh, just scared. I think we're having, Vince is going to come up shortly, Jinray, so we're going to go back with an image, but we will be doing Nebraska as soon as we can. So a shout out to the great state.
Yeah, they're all okay. Thank you.
Open the beer, Michael. Yeah, I can see it.
It's about 25%.
Okay, folks. Jody and Alex, this is a different view here. What are we seeing, Alex?
Well, so we're looking at a different wavelength of visible light called calcium.
firm is giving you a sneak peek at incredible...
Thunderstorm activity developing and expected to develop later today, this afternoon, for places like Nebraska, Nebraska,